Hey, we made it. 2 hours until the virtual doors close. And my God, you get to see my stack of ZV out to the side. That was not intentional. In fact, I'm a little embarrassed to show off how many ZVs I've had just this afternoon because I got one in my hand too. And these guys still are not sponsoring this show. What is wrong with them? Somebody better write them a letter. Anyway, so yeah, that's embarrassing. It's like having a whole stack of Bud Lights beside me or something. All right. Anyway, so yeah, we got 2 hours left here, and on this wonderful 8th Comic Art Live event. So I figure we can go over and rehash some things, and also get some feedback from the audience, like we always do at the end of these things. Yeah, there's a lot going on here with recycling. Maureen's going to make me take all the tabs off as I have to before I recycle them. It's how it goes around here. Hey, Tom. Tom McDonald, you sent me an email, and I owe you a reply, and I apologize. I owe a lot of people replies from this past week. I was really, really overworked and did not get back to a lot of people. But Tom, you're on my list. I will get back to you next week. So let's talk, some stats and things. I mean, obviously, I think overall the show has been a success for a lot of reasons. Number one, we exceeded the number of pieces of art in this 8th edition by not by a lot. I think last year we were around 6,600, and this time around we ended up hitting 6,708 artworks for sale as part of it. We also had 328 exhibitors, which I think is a few exhibitors over where we were at last year. I don't think we hit 320. I could be wrong, but we didn't hit 330. So everything ended up being like right in line with the amount of participation from our exhibitors. So that was good. Because early on, I mean, I think as everybody remembers, on Thursday, I think we were still sitting around 2,000 artworks, or maybe we weren't even at 2,000 artworks, and we weren't even at 200 exhibitors. So everybody likes to wait to the last minute, and I don't know how best to encourage people to not wait till the last minute, because it causes lots of consternation around here, because we end up having a lot of support for new exhibitors, and even questions from people who are just discovering the show. Of course, you figure there's a lot of people who come to Comic Art Live and just didn't even know anything about CAF that end up coming on here. But the big thing is us trying to figure out how we can get exhibitors to start posting earlier. And I know, it's as a collector-focused show like ours is, it takes a bit of time to kind of cull your collection and figure out what you want to sell. But I guess if there's anything that we could do to encourage people, early on, 6 months out, starting tomorrow, how do we encourage you to start thinking about May? I know that's the practicality isn't there, and I can tell you that we won't be doing it because we won't have any time until after OAX. But once OAX is done, then we'll have another almost 4 months until we need to get things, start encouraging people to start thinking about what they're going to bring. It's not easy. It goes to show you, like when we do an amateur dueling dealer match or something like that, trying to figure out what you want to sell is probably the most difficult part that I think any collector has, trying to determine, which of their babies they're going to let go. And, sometimes some of those babies are easier to drop than others, but by and large, pulling all these artworks together is hard. Caesar thought that CAF Live closed at 5. No, Caesar, it's always closed. Well, other than maybe the first two, we've always closed at 10 p.m. Eastern time, every Sunday. So that's been a consistent. And so, yeah, 2 more hours to go. But stats, any Mannix? We had lots of Mannix last night. And so anyway, so I'm happy you guys can keep throwing stuff into the chat if you have any thoughts. But why don't we move on to some of the stats and things? So like I said, participation rate high, but what I think we've seen so far in the sales, and I don't know, I really haven't talked to anybody about what they've picked up or what they haven't. I think by and large, what we're seeing at this Comic Art Live is what we've been potentially seeing throughout the the comic market over the last, or comic art market the last 12 to 16, 18 months, and that's a bit of a more trepidation on buyer's side. I think we've seen, clearly, if you follow my CAF updates and the market reports that Colin puts together for us, we've all seen a downturn in the overall number of sales, overall sales that happen every single week. Dealers in particular have seen a downturn a little bit more than the auction houses, but that's that's something it's just become kind of commonplace, right? I mean, during the pandemic, we would see weekly sales combinations between auction houses and sellers commonly between like $650 to $800,000 on a weekly basis. And today, we're kind of surprised when we see anything over 550. So that's literally like a 30% drop in what we were at as a peak in 2022, throughout that entire year. But yeah, sorry, I saw Margaret's comment. She got 2 Legion pieces, a con sketch and an unpublished pinup. Always a good thing, Margaret. So, and we've been watching what's been happening on the dueling dealers, right? It's not just inventory questions. It's like everybody's pulling back. I think we've seen that kind of across the board, even with some of our art drops that we've done. So getting to the nuts and bolts, where are we at with sales so far? We have, I've got so many different windows open here to try to look at different data. So we are at we're just under 500 completed transactions so far. Now that's about 150 off where we would have been before. So that kind of sits within that 20% downturn in the number of sales that we've seen this consistently at this point in time. I think last year we had just under 800 total sales. I would imagine once everything is said and done, we'll probably be closer to 600. So a 25% downturn in total sales through the weekend. Again, you kind of hope that those things don't happen, but I think that again, it's indicative of where we're at as a market right now. As long as interest rates are high and the job market is what it is, and everybody's pulling back a little bit, we're going to see that here. But like I've always talked, if you look through a lot of the art for sale this weekend, you don't see too many people doing fire sales on their artwork. In fact, I really didn't see anyone. Most people were either very optimistic on their pricing, like usual. I think that's if I went around and hit up my usual Facebook groups, I'm sure we would see a lot of people talking about buyers, kind of raising their prices or setting high expectations for their artwork. And it's just, we all value our stuff very well. So bottom line is that, where we're at today is probably about a 25% downturn in total sales. But as far as like overall sales, we are just over, let's see here, again, too many windows. We're sitting at about $550,000 in sales for the weekend, which isn't terrible, right? But again, this time last year, we were probably closer to 750, maybe even 800. But what we've seen in the last 3 shows here at Comic Art Live is we don't see a lot of people bringing their most expensive stuff out, unless they're a dealer. And so if we scrub the dealers off the list as far as what they're bringing, I think if we looked at collectors, by and large, you're not going to see too many pieces over $50,000, and that's to be expected. But in its heyday, we were seeing 6-figure pieces even come out from the collectors who are not classified as dealers. We don't see that really anymore. We did have $1 million piece last time, offered, Marcus, offered, not sold. But so that's kind of where we're at right now, right? Just over 550, and we with 2 hours left to go on the show, and a lot of people who are going to close deals after the show, my guess is still that it's going to probably end up in that $750,000 range. Over the weekend with the panels, I did some of the math here. Panel sales were around $40,000. That was from about 5 different panels that we had where we had art sales going on. We also did over $30,000 in mystery sketches this time around. I think that's another fantastic thing. And I should also point out that none of these stats include anything related to artists taking commissions or reps taking commissions for their artists too. We don't have that metric isn't something that we can track because those are more negotiated in a different manner. We don't really have a good way to do that. I do ask the reps after the fact if they can kind of give me a generality, but it is what it is. So let's see. I could say I picked up a piece of art. I'm not going to tell you what I got, but I got a piece of art that I thought I would never be able to own. And I'm very happy to have picked it up. And once I have it in hand, I will merrily open it up on a CAF Update art drop for everybody, because I think you'll all enjoy it as much as I enjoyed being able to pick it up. So looking at this other data here, another good metric and thing that I think we at least here at CAF HQ can be happy about. We rolled out the Stripe checkout to another pair of sellers, Mike Vosberg and Jeff Isherwood. So I don't know if you stopped by their booths, but I think a lot of you did, because we had over 48 transactions go through their 2 stores and Annie and Veronica Fish's. So that was really good to see that the automated checkout works really well. There's a few things out there that we definitely can improve upon there. Maureen and I talked about it today. Just the idea of kind of making it into a checkout versus a buy it now situation. So when you're on Jeff's page, for instance, and you're looking through his booth, that you can put 3 pieces in a checkout basket and then just charge out with that, versus doing them in a buy it now process. I don't think that prohibited sales, but certainly it would make it a little bit easier. The only complicated thing when we start adding things like that to the programming would be that we would have to allow every exhibitor booth to have its own checkout effectively and shopping cart. So not impossible, but certainly something that Maureen and I noted as something we'd like to see be able to be added to the May edition of this show. I see Jason. We have to thank Jason D'Ambrosio too. First time panel moderator, did a wonderful job with his friend Josh Casera today. They talked for an hour, maybe even a little more than an hour, and Jason did a very good job. So very commendable. And he was also kind of in charge of that. He got to show the slides. He was the boss of that panel, and even Kazra ran a panel today and did rather well. He also, Kazra was the guy who was flipping the levers and turning the switches and all that other stuff while we turning the switches, turning the dials. That tells you. This morning I didn't even know it was Sunday. I think I said Saturday when I opened the panel with Anthony, and which was ironic because I did sleep 9 hours yesterday, so I should have been a little bit more sharper than that. But yeah, Jason did a fantastic job today, and I would welcome him back. I don't think he qualifies yet for having his own talk show on the channel, but he can certainly moderate a panel whenever he so chooses. So I think that was really happy to see. And Dino said, "Unflappable J." Absolutely, Dino is no stranger to moderating panels, dueling dealer events, and other things here on the channel. So he's always welcome back to moderate something anytime he'd like. But let's see what we got here. I saw Black Viper had a comment. Be nice to have a buy request sent email folder. Wasn't sure if it went through or not. You mean well, there is actually Black Viper Adorn. If you take a look at the menu on Comic Art Live, there is a where is it? Email sent. Underneath that rollover menu, you can see every single communication that you sent out to an exhibitor. So as a attendee, we do track all of those communications that you send out to dealers. Whether they opened it or not, I can't promise you that that it didn't get spammed on them or something like that. But at the end of the day, that is where you can track every email you sent out during the show. I see Larry's in the chat. Larry's going to be hosting a collector conversation. Technically our 21st after, well, I guess you could say 22nd because Larry did one during a panel last May. But tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, Larry's going to be hosting a collector conversation that I'm sure we'll talk a bit about Comic Art Live this weekend. I haven't been able to create the show record yet, so there's nothing for you to kind of set a reminder on. I'm sorry to say, but I will get that done tonight after this panel is done. But Jason, the good thing is everybody can watch you on the rewind. What would cause a failure? There's nothing that would cause a failure of sent mail, Black Viper Adorn. I'm talking about a failure on the recipient's end to get it. They spammed it, whatever. We can send the mail. I can't guarantee they get it. But the mails that are sent out are recorded to a database. That's why you're able to see your history. The exhibitors also have their own email history recorded to the database that they have access through their exhibitor booth admin. So emails are sent. The thing is, it's back to you can't guarantee that everybody's always going to get it. You just don't know if somebody spams something. It happens. But it doesn't happen to me. I got all my booth emails this weekend. So that's all. But if you see it in that list, it was sent. If they chose not to reply to you, there's nothing I can do about that. That is one of the, that's one of the tough parts of running a show like this is, well, then, yeah, if you have no record of you sending the email on that page, then it did not get sent. But you still have a little less than 2 hours to send out a communication to whomever you were trying to reach out to before. That is very true. Sorry, trying to highlight stuff as I go through here to make sure I don't miss any questions or highlights here. back to my data. What else we got here? The one good thing was with the mystery sketches, I was very happy to hit the number that we hit, because that was a record. My hope was to get closer to like 140, so 135 ish was where we ended up at. And to me, that's a solid number. It's a lot of sketches that we're going to get to see dropped after the fact. I think it's was it Mikhail that suggested we need a new art type category for mystery sketch on CAF? I think we'll be adding that, before you receive your mystery sketches. So within the next week or so, that would be wise for me to do. I'm not going to put there's no high-fiving with a mask on, Jeffrey C. But it's a nice thought. I'm glad you're thinking outside of the box there, or inside the mask, as it were. Let's see. One dealer's email responses went spam. Others, yeah. Caesar says that. Well, that's why you always got to check your spam. I mean, but if a dealer response came to you from their personal email, that wasn't if a dealer responds to your inquiry, that's outside of the CAF mail system at that point. And there's nothing that we don't really have any control over how that would go. But that's what happens. It does. It's a drawback to a system where purchase requests go out. Definitely. But let's see. Mr. Easy Go Lucky mentioned that they used the keyword alert notifications to buy all of their art this weekend. That's a positive. I like to hear that. At the end of the day, I think I was pleasantly surprised. Maureen had tweaked a lot of the programming between last show and this one. Everybody knows the last show started off really, really bumpy. And, we had some server issues that were speed and whatnot related, but we had none of those issues today. And the CAF keyword alerts did really well for us, as far as that, they got generated within like 30 seconds. When we did them last time around, it was something like a 10 or 15 minute process. So Maureen put a little bit of effort into making sure that those queries ran better, and we were able to get everything kind of populated a lot faster than we've ever had before. So that was good. And again, the speed of the site was perfect this weekend. I don't think there was any moment. The only time we had an issue, and if everybody remembers when we did the kickoff show, Albert was talking about seeing some of his Sunday stuff on the site. Well, of course, I kept looking at his booth. It wasn't there. Well, it turned out there was a way through the site search based on, I think it was a blank keyword search into the site search, was for whatever reason showing Sunday results, but nobody could get to them because Sunday results are blocked. So that we fixed that sometime early on, yesterday. I don't recall when. It hadn't opened to the general public yet, but in the process of making the changes to the search page, that the page kind of foobarred a couple times there for about a minute while we were making those changes. But other than that, that was the only glitch. And the funny thing is that it, which is weird, is that weird error, being able to see Sunday stuff might have been there for the past 4 or 5 shows. No one even noticed it. If Albert didn't have somebody trying to buy some Bruce Timm piece of art off of him, he might not have noticed it, himself either. So now it's fixed. It can never happen again. Abraham, thank you. I'm glad. Those are the things we like to hear. The keyword alerts, I think, have made a huge difference, and it was a great enhancement to Comic Art Live that we put in place 3 shows ago. And we're always looking for more ideas to make the show even better, easier for everybody, especially for the premium members who are supporting everything we do here at Comic Art Fans. Caesar wants to know about the Stell Free show. It did not happen. That got set up kind of last minute by Jason, and I don't think he and Brian were maybe on the same schedule phase, page, whatever. At the end of the day, I because I hadn't heard back from Brian, I just decided to cancel it. I let Jason know. Jason was actually at a con himself this weekend. He was at Motor City, so we agreed that we would try to get he and Brian on, and a few other of the essential artists that are coming to OAX. And because there are some, that was going to be the announcement, everybody. We were going to announce that Brian was coming, and we had a few other things to talk about too, as well as it being an interview. So that is forthcoming, but I can't tell you when. It may or may not be this Thursday, but it will happen soon. So and I was disappointed. I've never had the opportunity to talk to Brian before, so I was looking forward to that, and I'm sure many of you were as well. Let's see, what do we got here? I saw Mickey said something. First time seller sold 5 pieces. That's always good to hear. I think the majority of the sales this weekend, like I say, we're at like 550,000 in sales. Collectors made up, last I checked, about 421,000 of that. So, and that's to be expected. More than 80% of the artwork that gets posted is by collectors over the weekend. So, selling 5 is good. I'm glad to hear that. And I saw that Aaron Noble also mentioned that they sold 5 as well. Congrats, Aaron. That's great to hear. We're always trying. There's definitely some different ways we can probably market stuff, and we have a few ideas already planned for May that we've kicked around and have talked about for the last couple months. But it's going to be an interesting time. Key sales is Larry says to make you key to sales is to keep it under $100. Keep selling. Well, that's almost not a lie, though, Larry. I could tell you, as I mentioned earlier, the volumes and things are fairly similar. But, when I look at the overall sales, what do we got? Where are we at now as the number of sales? Because they're still coming in. We're at 498 is the number right now. So of those 498 sales, 302 of them came from artworks priced $0 to $500. So literally 60% of the sales that happened this weekend were from pieces priced $500 or less. And my next grouping that Maureen reported for me is like 500 to 2,500, and 138 of those sales that happened this weekend were there. So 2,500 and under made up 448 of the 498 sales. So that's, at the end of the day, right now, this weekend, that's a key to it. Now, categorically, the 27 sales on the $5,000 and up made up about, doing the math in my head, probably about 42% of the overall total sales for the weekend. So just 27 sales made up a lion's share of that, of our overall sales at the 550. So, it just is what it is. The good news is it's still, everything did what it was supposed to do. We had a great sale. We had a great show. The panels were great, other than missing out on the Stelfreeze one. And I know that the first panel we did with Bill Morrison was a little bumpy because Ken was in Monterrey, Mexico, hosting that one. So his internet wasn't fantastic, but he was game. I had the open slot at 3:00 that day, and he was happy to give it a go. But let's see. What Gabe says, very few discounts offered via email on artwork I saved versus the last few cons. I mean, I know I have a fair number of sellers in here right now, maybe some new sellers as well. I mean, I think Mickey mentioned he's new to all this. One thing that I'll just go here and get a screen share and show one thing that could help some of you sell some artwork before the show is over. Right here. All right. So let's see. If you go into your booth admin, and so I've got one, I had one piece drop. I didn't sell anything this weekend, everybody, but I didn't have much to sell. You can see that underneath your piece, it'll tell you the number of times it was viewed and the number of times it was saved. Now, as you can see, the number of times it's saved is a link. And for those of you who are new, and maybe even those of you who have done this before but didn't know this feature existed, if you click that number right there, this allows you to send an email. It goes out to the 2 people who saved your artwork. In some cases, there's pieces that have over 20 saves on them. So if you're a seller and you didn't know about this, well, turn the radar on, because this allows you to send an email to those 2 people or the number of people that saves your artwork and let them know, hey, maybe you reduced the price by, I went from $350 to $275, right? Unlike the Dueling Dealers on Wednesdays, I dropped mine $75. So I drop it to $275, and I type that out in the, in the WYSIWYG editor right here that I've dropped it, and you send it out. That sends an email to those 2 people. You do not get to know who those people are, but this does allow you to retarget them through marketing. They're interested. Maybe, a reduction in price and a targeted email per piece that has likes on it will end up getting, or that has been saved, will net you that sale. And so we put that into the booth admins probably I think probably like three shows ago as well. And I know that it works pretty well. I got retargeted on a couple of the pieces that I saved too. So I know people are aware of it, but it may not be, that well known to everybody else. Let's see. Matt from Pop Sequentialism says, I'll offer 20% off anything in my booth to anyone in this room that purchases by midnight tonight. Well, Pop, remember, we close at 10. So you got an hour and a half to get that done. And you're in Vegas. So you've got, you're a few hours ahead of us. But yes, check out the Pop Sequentialism booth, everybody, because Matt is wheeling and dealing here in the chat, which is always a good thing. Greg Teague says that I use the feature to notify reduced prices. Good. That's, again, I think it's worked pretty well. The last show, I know I actually picked up a piece when somebody retargeted to me as well. So I would encourage everybody to do the same. Let's see. Tim mentioned I've offered discounts on a piece. And yeah, there you go. Trying to raise money for the OAX trip. Exactly. That was one thing that I talked with a couple different people during the weekend, was the OAX effect that could potentially, have some, little bit of a ripple here. It's people trying to save money, but my cross argument was we've also got people who are selling, trying to raise money to go as well. So it kind of works both ways. But OAX is what, 75 I don't even know how many days away we are, probably 75 days away. So OAX really shouldn't have too much impact on a November show, at least as far as I would think. Fish says he says that he got an email when he sent it to well, I don't know, Fish, that's pretty weird. I'd have to see which piece of art you were doing that on, and I'm sure I could probably answer for you how that would have ever happened, because unless you saved it yourself, it ain't gonna go to you. So let's see here, other data that I've got access to that may or may not be anything but trivia. Where on earth? I know I had a couple things in here. No, not that one. Where the heck was that? Oh, it was in here. Yeah, sales by art type, emails, saves by art price. The top saved artwork. What do we get? We got an Art Germ cover was the number one. It had 20 saves on it. That Uncanny X-Men 201 page had 18. Frank Whiteley pencils on JLA Earth at 17. Lots of X-related stuff in here. Authority by Frank Whiteley. Uncanny X-Men, more Frank Whiteley, John Byrne X-Men, lots of X-Men. Maybe it's Jason. It's a Jason James combo going out there and saving a lot of X-Men related artworks. But again, that's it's good stuff to know. I mean, that's where the retargeting can really come into play and help you secure a sale. But let's see, booth name for making offers within Artag. Nice to have you here. I appreciate you participating in this Comic Art Live as well. People must be saving for Adam Hughes. I don't know. They Adam did pretty well on his OAX commissions. He definitely got if he completes them all, it would be pretty awesome for him. But let's see what else we got. Commission ops are taking up money too. That's true, Marcus. You can't argue with that, right? I mean, the pre OAX stuff could impact sales during Comic Art Live because it does lead up to it. Can't deny you there. It's there. We've been discussing several things. I think you're gonna see some changes in the programming schedules over the next, going forward. There's changes that we've already made that we haven't talked about. But you'll notice the changes as they happen. So definitely we're going to be looking at a lot of the stuff that we do on the live streams a little bit differently going forward, which is a good thing. I mean, after doing these things for 3.5 years, trying to moderate things a little differently and approach all of the shows that we do differently isn't a bad thing. Hey, Nick Barucci. I don't think I've seen Nick in a chat. Nick must have had a very busy weekend. Because I don't think I saw you at all, Nick. I thank you for setting up a booth during the show, though. I saw a lot of nice artwork in your exhibitor booth. Thank you for that. Is Dino coming on tonight? No, I didn't. Dino was on the last show. He had his own panel towards the end of the day, but we didn't talk about that going into this one, unfortunately. But we will have Dino on. I guarantee you we will have Dino on. Of course, there's a Heritage. The other thing we got is the big signature auction for Heritage that starts on Thursday too. So that what those things we can't fight against that stuff. Comic Link had an auction end before this past week on Thursday. Hakes has theirs coming up next week. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all going to be at some form or another competing with one another for sales, and there's nothing that we can do about that. Alberto forgot to save money for Heritage, but yeah, Dino, you'll be on. We'll be doing a recap after next week for sure. So I'll have you on for that. And I'm actually going to send you an email about something, Dino. I had a request, and I will making a note of that because I did want to send you an email. So I'll do that tonight. But yeah, there you go. What are you going to do? I mean, there's nothing that's going to change the fact that there's a lot of artwork out on the market, and we're just going to have to roll with it. So by and large, again, I still feel like everything was a great success. I mean, everything that I was nervous about going into this, worrying about the server issue that we had last May, all of that just kind of went away. Everything pretty much went off without a hitch as far as the art drop times and the releases, and I couldn't be happier with that. I'm really happy that the Stripe checkout worked like it should. I think we're definitely going to see a lot more people using that in May. That's which is a positive. I'd like to think that anybody who bought from Bossberg, the fishes, or from Isherwood, enjoyed the fact that it was just easy. Make your payment, put it on a credit card, move along. And by and large, all three of them have very affordable art. I think like the most expensive credit card transaction could have been around $750 or something like that. And a lot of them were in that $100 to $200 range. So very, very easy. Oh, yeah. And Jeff says, I think I saw Jeff, you pick up a piece because I get emailed on the store on any of the ones that come through. I think you picked up a really, really nice piece tonight through the checkout over on Vossberg's exhibitor booth. And again, definitely patronize the artists that are taking the time to put their art out there. Jeff was using it for the first time this time. Voss, this is his second show, and I haven't gone back to see how well he did this time. I remember he sold half of his stuff last time, but $100 for a painting of Lori Lovecraft naked with cats. Yeah, no, Mike is definitely well, he enjoys selling his stuff, that's for sure. We've had Mike on the show a few different times, and he prices his stuff to move. Nick Brucci says he picked up a few pieces from Fred Chamberlain. That's great. Let's see. Heritage, I can do a payment plan. Heritage, yeah, they do that. And one of the things that our checkout offers, although we haven't really looked into educating the people that are going to end up using it, is it does actually work like those buy now and kind of pay over, and 3 installments, 4 installments. So that kind of technology and purchasing opportunities through the Stripe platform are available. And what is it? Acclaim? I can't remember there's like 2 or 3 major ones, and they're all built into the Stripe platform that we're using. So something down the road where you could literally, you could buy an $8,000 piece and spread the payments out over 2 or 3 months with the seller, because basically the seller gets the money right away. You're essentially paying that intermediate party. So it is another way to complete a sale through the Transact system that we've been putting together. Greg says he tried to buy something, but his card got declined. I don't know. Not sure why. I assume it had sold. I don't know. You could go back and check and see if it's still available. I don't know why. All those things have, because all those transactions are off site. Those happen over on the Stripe platform. So Stripe is after maybe like authorize.net or something, they are and maybe PayPal, they're right up there on the top 3 credit card companies online these days. So I'm not sure why that would be. Essentially, when you leave the site, we lock the piece down so it can't be bought by anybody else. So if you got to the point where you could click the pay now button that takes you off to Stripe, we actually check before we send you the Stripe, making sure nobody else has bought it yet or gotten past that same point. So I don't know. It sounds like it was just declined on its own. but Greg picked up a Quietly piece. I wonder which one that could have been. I was looking at, there were 9 Quietly pieces, I think, when the show started. I haven't gone back to see. I wonder if my let's see. You can see the one that I think I saved one. Where was it? Saved artworks. No, it's, I see. I saved that one. And of course, I like Kamolo, so I saved that. That David Wright's still out there. Look at that, a David Wright Carol Day piece that is still available at $850. We know that market has changed a lot since those books came out, but so hey, it was not that Frank Whiteley piece that sold. So interesting there. Let's see. Melchior had some nice Quietly pieces. He did. He definitely did. I think, 1 or 2 of them we might have seen before. Jupiter's Legacy, I think, was one he had back in May. But he, that Wolverine was a new piece. I just thought 1750 was a little high, but I'm not a haggler. I thought about offering him 1500, but decided to play it cool after I bought the piece that I did get. Anthony D'Orazio said, I grabbed a nice late run Capullo Spawn page. Finally scratched that itch. That's awesome, Anthony. Congrats. So what I would say is I'm going to send out a few emails to exhibitors. I mean, one of the things to, definitely kind of stay on top of is if you do sell pieces or complete sales and transactions after the show closes tonight, please still go back in and mark everything as sold so that, I can run accurate reports. Because I'm going to end up waiting probably 2 days after the show is over to kind of run my final sales reports for this. So, complete the transactions that you have out there and, continue to update your booth. And remember, the whole feedback system that we have in place on the site really hinges right now on sales that happen during Comic Art Live. So when you've completed a transaction, you can, and we want you to go and leave feedback for the buyer. Those not using the checkout system, it really is initiated from the seller side of things. So the seller has to let the buyer know that, go in and leave feedback for them. Then the buyer gets notified that feedback was left for them, and then they can leave it for you. But until you do that first step as a seller for the buyer, they can't leave feedback for you. And I'm missing what Fish is saying in there about NSN being wrong about something. I guess that saved on pieces that I got the email as well. I don't know. Fish says I'm wrong about this one. I received an email for every email I sent out, and I didn't save it. Okay, I don't know. That may be true. I don't know. I like I said, I didn't send out an email this time around, so I can't say that that it doesn't work that way. I don't know. Are you complaining that you're getting a copy, Fish, or are you just like letting me know? I'm not sure if you're unhappy that you got copied on your email or not. So it's all good. Good. Okay. Well, I'll look into it. If people would rather not get blind carbon copied on their announcement emails, that's okay too. I don't know why Maureen would have put that in there, but it might have been just a means for us during testing to make sure they were going out properly. 89 watching and only 36 likes. We can do better. No, I don't think anything is complaining, everybody. Trust me, I do not. It takes a lot for me to get to that level on things. I don't. I mean, I just take notes, try to take it all in, and just kind of take it all in and do what I can to make the next show better. So, but Jason wants his email. Yeah, you can't please everybody. That's for sure. So yeah, it's been a long weekend. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. Again, I think anything that if you'd like to send me feedback, email is definitely a good idea. My email is bill@comicartfans.com. Always just I'm open to anything. So don't feel like I'll take offense if you say something didn't work well and you think it could be better. Hey, I'd rather read that and think you're wrong than not have heard from you at all. So please, hit me up with those thoughts, because at the end of the day, this show is for everybody who uses CAF, and this is definitely something that is here to stay. As a twice annual show. The one thing I should remind everybody who is an exhibitor, that once the show is over, you can move artworks from your exhibitor booth back into your CAF gallery. And it really does, like if you have, say, 20 gallery rooms in your calf gallery, you'll pick that piece of art that you want to move back in there, and you'll pick the room you want to move it into. So that's definitely, a good feature. I do get asked a lot by first-time sellers. I probably had a dozen emails before the show, people asking why can't they move stuff out of their calf gallery into the exhibitor booth? And I'll just remind everybody, the reason we don't do that is because at the end of the day, we want we want new art, right, coming into the show, if by and large. And we know that's, hey, as collectors, it's not like you can bring out another 48 pieces every single time we have a show, but we do want to make it difficult for you to just like rehash your classifieds in an exhibitor booth. Because when you're in a person's exhibitor booth, we provide links over to their classifieds. So we really see the exhibitor booth as an extension of the sales mechanisms we already have in place for you. We want people to say, this guy's got a lot of art I like, but I'm not seeing the one thing I like. I'm going to head over to their classifieds and take a look at that too. Maybe I'll find it there. I remember early on when we didn't allow 48 artworks, and I think we only allowed like 24. We always had people commenting that I sold 2 or 3 or 4 pieces out of my classifieds over the weekend too. I think now that we've reached a 48 count, piece count in your exhibitor booth, that doesn't happen as often as it did early, but it definitely, is there as a feature. Let's see. So everybody, good, Jill. I'm glad to hear you made 3 purchases over the weekend. That is fantastic. Alberto says, I still have no idea how much I claim from Jiggy's art show. I don't know. I could count it for you, but I wrote them all down. But yeah, that was a fun show. Obviously, Jiggy's been a good partner of Comic Art Live. The panels that he does on Saturday nights are always really well attended. We always end up, he brings over an audience that we don't typically reach. And I think every time we do a show with him, we always get like 20 new subscribers just from his show alone, which is always fantastic. So I hear you, Fish. I appreciate that you feel I rock, and that's awesome. I do my best, and so yeah. So if I could tell you, after we're going to go through this, because the thing is, we can't really wait 2 months to kind of jot down all of our notes about what we feel we want to change for the May show. So we've got a few days where we're going to kind of, because I actually have about a dozen post-it notes in front of me of notes that I took for Maureen, things that I wanted to update and, just finesse a little bit in things. But, we're going to take a few days to kind of go over Comic Art Live so that we have a strategy going forward that we can start working on after OAX. But pretty much by midweek onward, we're going to be 100% focused on that show, getting all of our final announcements out. Pretty much our guest list is completed. We still have about 22, 23, 24 artists to list on the site, which is pretty exciting. Kazra went out of his way to apparently invite our last artist. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I completely supported his choice. Miko Swayan is in the chat tonight. Miko will be at OAX. Speaking of someone who will be here as well, and he still has a good sense of humor. I hope when Aquaman 2: Lost Kingdom comes out, I would be able to sell my Aquaman covers. Maybe as long as it's a hit, Miko, you might have a chance of selling those Aquaman covers. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with Miko when he gets to Orlando at the end of January too. So. I don't want to keep anybody here. Cal feature request, booth search. Okay, let's see. Booth search. Okay, that's a good one, Scott. I mean, that's something that I think we're going to actually, one thing that we've never had on CAF is the ability to even search within one's own gallery, right? That doesn't exist, but it exists over on Comic Art Shop. And so it is something that I've had on Maureen's short list, was to implement the search within a gallery. And so it's not a bad idea to kind of roll that down into the exhibitor booths as well. Oh, Alberto's been around the office hierarchy system before. He's a CEO. It doesn't matter if I support his choice. He does have that power now, doesn't he, Alberto? I should have thought about that before I signed the agreement. But anyway, what else is out here? I think anybody who tuned into that Simone DeMeo panel that we had on Saturday saw, that was a lot of fun. And congratulations to Matt DiTullio on the DiTullio Art Collective that he started. I think if you didn't know, one of the covers that was claimed, the buyer backed out on that. So if you're still in the market for a Simone cover, there are a couple of available in Matt's CAF in his exhibitor booth over in Cal. So you can take a look at those. Simone still has one commission opportunity available, the more expensive one, the double A3 level. And I think I did, I can tell Kazra this, I did get a couple ecommerce for Eric today after the panel too. For those of you who didn't tune into Kazra's OAX panel today, we actually had two pre-con announcements on there. And one was for Ben Templesmith, where we set up we announced, I think, 4 different tiers of commission opportunities with him. And I haven't got the chance to roll those down to OAX, but I will do my best to get those over there tomorrow. But Eric Grove is an artist that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, but he actually works or is within the studio, or he's close friends with Finch. And so I think they're both in the same town, same studio, etc. So he's an amazing painter, and he's offering some really great deals on some of his 9x12s, and I think maybe he was doing 3 9x12s and 1 11x17, and then he's going to be doing some card art, trading card painting as well. So I'll get all of that rolled out onto the OAX website tomorrow, and you can expect a recap of the OAX announcements we did over this weekend, as well as the pre-con opportunities that happened. Oh, Nick, what do we got here? The biggest purchase I did was to buy art from Mr. Redjack. If you haven't yet, please check out his page, as he's raising money for his brother and some money for Bill to buy one of his trades. And that is very true. I'd read the same thing, and Mr. Redjack, Brian Norton, was selling art for a very good cause. I would encourage everybody to go over there and check and see. I think Brian sold several pieces on day one. I hope those good sales continued for him. And again, as a community, we can rally around that stuff, because there was some good. Brian's kind of in the DC category, but I went through and I looked through everything as well. I even told Maureen to take a look, because she does like Batman, she does like Wonder Woman. I don't think she picked anything up, but she did pick. Maureen bought I think she bought five things this weekend, believe it or not, from Lee Banaka. She picked up 3 pages from some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. She got something from Fosberg. So I don't think it was a nude, but I don't think I got to see it either. I think she would have told me if it was. But and then I forget who the third buyer was that she picked up something from. But yeah, so we're always out there supporting. We picked up 5 mystery sketches ourselves. So yeah, let's see. So see, Larry says, by the time I looked at Brian's booth, he was cleaned out. I wasn't complaining about him. At any rate, you're right. It definitely wasn't a skull, Mikhail. So yeah, because she bought so much. I think she actually got a deal out of Lee, because the 3 pages she picked up. I don't think she asked for it, but Lee was very generous with his offer back to her. Bootlegging wants to know about what are the rules for listing not safe for work pieces on Cal. Well, we don't have we've never put a lock, like a not safe for work flag on any artwork that's going into Comic Art Live. I mean, was there anything in here that you felt shouldn't have been seen by anyone? I mean, I guess maybe there could have been. I didn't see anything that I thought was offensive. I don't think I've ever seen that. People by and large have been pretty good about that. But if there was a piece that you think I should have known about, Dan, let me know. Shoot me an email. You know how to do it. Outside of that, I mean, I saw, again, I think the only thing that I saw people complaining about was the number of people who do their booth reveals in advance of the show. Now, is it a bad thing? By and large, no. At the end of the day, I think your sales end up being tallied within the whole ecosystem of of the show, right? Because you're basically showing a snapshot of your admin. and and the pieces you have in your art drops and everything. But yeah, some people would rather, and I totally get it. It's like those pre-drops that you're doing are potentially gaining you some inquiries to sell your artwork before the hall opens. And those people who don't do that because they whatever, they view the sanctity of the whole reveal all at one time as the point where everybody should be on a level playing field with every other seller. So just so that's out there. So while it seems like a strategic advantage to drop those things, it does upset other people. And do I have a position on it in particular? I'm never one to tell people what to do. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's better to wait until the show opens versus showing, teasing all the things you have for sale. But as I think we've seen throughout the, in this hobby and probably all others, we had art dealers making art drops during the show, which has never happened before. We had art dealers doing drops, 1 or 2 days before the show, and we've watched these same dealers do it to themselves time and time again. We watched them do it to heritage auctions. I guarantee you there will be 2 or 3 drops that we'll see on Tuesday and Wednesday by dealers trying to circumvent the system and take your money before the auction houses can get it. So I don't know, at the end of the day, while I don't have a position on that, I would just say that it's probably better to not tease your stuff. Let it kind of flow out naturally to everybody. And surprise is a good thing. I mean, when the show opened, we had 700 collectors, premium members at 11 a.m. on Saturday on the site, pounding it, going through the searches, and and that's the fun part, right? I mean, if you know what's coming, it's not as fun. I mean, you want to have a strategy, of course, but I like the sense of wonder approach when coming into our show, and I'd like to think that most people do as well. And that's why we enjoy it, I think. So, and Nick is letting everybody know that Brian Norton has 6 unsold pages left. So you got an hour and 10 minutes where you can still go in there and get them. So please do check it out. I mean, everything that Brian put up there was definitely quality. Albert has a big drop tomorrow. Yeah, he does. Let's see. Yeah, that was the Matt's mentioning the $500 or less. That definitely was the strategy overall. Matt, I think from what I saw, I don't have a list of what the common price ranges were and the number of pieces per category. Yeah, that would be an interesting report for me to have Maureen put together. But no, I don't have that. Nope, I just had a triple check to make sure I don't have it. But it worked well for some this time around. See the comments about Albert's emails. I don't think Albert writes his emails, by the way. But let's see here. I missed what Seamus, where we have you already considered a trade box check and then trade search? I had no money to buy, but could have traded anything I had for sale. I mean, I guess for people not using the checkout system, Seamus, I would think that I don't know. At the end of the day, somebody who's going to send you an email about a piece with a purchase request is going to ask you about trade as a possibility. It certainly isn't a bad idea to make it be a flag that puts it out there. But I would have to think that if you made it a flag for every exhibitor, every piece that was priced over $2,500 would probably be flagged as a trade possibility. I mean, I think we as collectors probably go into these things knowing that. Like somebody would say, I'll buy that for $2,500, but if you're interested in doing any trades, what's your wants? I mean, I think that I bet if I went and looked, that same phrase was said numerous times over this weekend because trade is king, right? I mean, James Siegel has said that numerous times when we've been talking on different chat shows. Trade's good. Having inventory is good. So I think most people approach higher ticket sales with trade in mind. Mikhail said he got a couple. I'm assuming that was related to trade offers on stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to put trade in there as an option because I just think everybody would probably just say I'm open to trades. I mean, because you can do that in your booth description, just write right in there, man. If you're open to trades, put it there because that's the thing that gets shown when people are browsing the exhibitor booths too. And I know Jeff Boyd's looking at it, and and it's really just part of them. Here, if I bring the whole stack into view, yeah, that's I got a 6-pack right there, and then I've got another three there. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, there's 8. Even though this one's a no-cal. Maureen brought me the no-cal one. When she brought me the popcorn last night, she gave me a no-cal, no caffeine. I'm sorry, a no caffeine Zevia. But it's okay. It's the lemon lime twist. They are delicious. So yeah, see, Mikhail says he wrote it in the description. I just think that's probably the better way to do it, because people see whatever you write in your booth description. Remember, it's shown on the exhibitor list. It's shown when you go to your booth, and it is shown at the bottom of every page that you have a piece of art, and it's so it's there all the time. So if you're open to trading, state it. I think that it's totally fine way to go. That's the way I would do it. Nick says we broke 50 likes. See, I hung in here long enough to get to 50 likes. Thank you, Nick. So like I say, please hit me up with emails, with any suggestions, anything that might have went wrong, went right. I like hearing that too. I'll definitely be following up with exhibitors with emails. There'll be a reminder email about closing out your sales. There will be at least 2 reminders going out reminding you to leave feedback for your buyers. Remember that, unfortunately, the only way you can leave feedback for a buyer is if they contacted you on the piece. Your buyer had to initiate the conversation about the piece on the piece, and because that's how we're able to tie that person's account back to you. So that is a drawback to the system. But the 3 artists who you were using the checkout, that's actually all synced up. The buyer can actually leave feedback before the seller does in the full checkout system, just like you could on eBay or any other place that has a proper checkout. So that is one of the pros of using that system. So, all right, I'm going to call it. It is I'm an hour into this thing, but please hit me. You didn't miss anything big, Margaret. Not at all, but I'm glad you picked up a couple Legion pieces this weekend. Congrats! I think one of those was from Jeff, and Jeff definitely had a very good show. He, as a first time exhibitor at the show, he emailed me 4 or 5 times, just he was wanting to make sure his etiquette was right. Very concerned. I mean, it was great to have, and there were several sellers that were new that reached out numerous times throughout the weekend. But Jeff was very. He was on top of everything, asking me questions about stuff and, how should I handle this situation or that one? And I appreciated that, because I could tell he really cared. He's somebody I think you're going to see us working with a lot going forward, as well. I talked even with Mike Vosberg, who we had on the checkout too. He and I chatted, and he expressed interest in working, more with us throughout the year, not just during Comic Art Live. So, I think people are finally seeing that we've got some tools in place that work really well, and it's cool. I like getting to work with guys like Jeff and Mike. They're really fun guys to have around. And Margaret, yeah, Jeff was very great to deal with. Yeah, he definitely cares. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to call it. Look forward to getting any feedback from anybody, and of course. You're going to see me. I won't be on the show. Well, probably, I think I'll welcome everybody to the Collector Conversation tomorrow night that Larry's hosting. Just remember, tune into that. That'll be at 9 o'clock. I'm sure they'll be talking about this show and a few other things going on, but it's great to have Larry step up. Should be a monthly show where we'll be doing a Collector Conversation. Those always were like the most fun when the channel was in its infancy. I think we all got to know one another a lot better then. And, I'm looking forward to having to being able to host those things again with you. So good night from Chicago. Good night from Umatilla, Florida. We'll see you again tomorrow night. But have a wonderful evening. And remember, you got 1 more hour to pick up artwork during Comic Art Live. Please do that. And please check out Brian Norton's calf gallery. He probably doesn't have 6 pieces left. He's probably only got 5 now. All right.